Hey everybody, one more about cancellations, and hopefully this will give you some things to help mitigate the financial blow to both you and your clients should cancellations arise. We created a contract years and years ago, and my contract is very simple. It's like a couple of paragraphs, big type, no fine print, lawyer approved, all of that. But it covers cancellations as really the main thing I cover is cancellations in it. And we talk about a couple of different things in there. But the way we're set up is that we have, and I'm not going to get into the debate about whether deposits or retainers, that's been resolved and you guys can do whatever you want with that. The fact is it doesn't matter what you call it. It matters what everybody understands with the contract. So make sure your contract is super crystal clear and not filled with legalese so there's no misunderstandings. You'll be in pretty good shape. But we take a deposit, and I'm going to use all round numbers for this. You can plug in your own numbers. We take a $500 deposit. That deposit is non-refundable. And it says on our contract, giant, bold, capital letters, for any reason, right? There's no exceptions. It's non-refundable for any reason. Now, if the event should cancel, here's what happens. And there's kind of 2 or 3 stages to it. The first is, if they cancel, they lose their deposit. However, if we are able to rebook a comparable event, then we will refund back all except for $250, which is to be considered liquidated damages. Now, liquidated damages, I don't want to, because I'm not a lawyer, I just play one on TV, but just to give you a little perspective, liquidated damages essentially means for what you've already done, right? So to compensate you for something. So I've already done some work, and it's not a penalty to them. It's like to compensate me for my time. At this point, I've already given them our planning materials. So that's what liquidated damages is. So I'm going to keep $250 as liquidated damages if we rebook. So when I talk to clients in the booking stages and I explain to them that it's a non-refundable deposit, I say, but listen, if I'm, sure it won't happen, but if you have to cancel, you want to let me know as soon as possible. Because the sooner I know, the better chance I have to book a comparable event. If I can book a comparable event, I will be able to give you back all but $250 of your deposit. And I would probably leave that $250 deposit the same whether I took a $500 or a $1,000 or a $1,500 deposit, because it's a reasonable amount for what I've done up to that point, which is basically booking the event. You can do whatever you want with your numbers, but it gives them incentive to do this. And that comes from an event that happened to me decades ago where I had a client that canceled, didn't tell me, months went by, and when I was trying to reach them to get going on the planning, they're like, oh yeah, we canceled that a long time ago. I was like, why didn't you tell me? And they were like, well, we knew it was a non-refundable deposit anyway. I'm like, okay, they had no incentive. So now I've given them an incentive that they can get this back if I'm able to rebook. So that's the first piece of it. The second piece of it is this. If they cancel in the last, in our case, 60 days, you can put whatever number you want in there, then there needs to be a substantial portion due. So for us, it was 60 days. And at that point, if they canceled before or after that 60 days, and for us, I think it should have been further. We just never changed it from the old days. Probably should be more like 90 or even 120 days. But if they cancel then after that, then what they owe is 75% of the total amount of the contract. It's important not to have it be the entire 100%, because ultimately where this gets resolved in a worst case scenario is in court. If you go to court, you want to be the super reasonable person. I didn't charge them the entire amount. I charged them 3/4 of it. We've done everything up to that point other than actually be there and play the music, right? And I've taken my losses. Everything has happened along the way. I've turned away other events, all of that stuff. So 3/4, I think taking 25% off to get a night off. That's how the courts would view it. I would see it as it's an opportunity missed for me to be in front of other people. But again, trying to be super reasonable. And then they get 25% off. Now, the key is this. That is assuming that the balance is paid on time. And for us, the on time was 2 weeks prior to the event. So they had to pay by 2 weeks. If they did not pay by that time, 2 weeks before, then the entire amount of the contract became due. So now they didn't save 25%. Now they owe for the full amount. And that's partly because now I'm in collection mode. If we go to collections, then there's some late fees that were built into it and collection fees and that sort of stuff as well. To be clear, I have gone to court over this. I've won. In fact, I actually won a case against a guy, almost an identical scenario to what I just painted. He never even signed the contract. That's a whole other long story. But because the contract was clear and we had it, I still won in court, and he appealed, and I won that as well. So don't let people tell you that you can't win in court. But like being a good DJ, some DJs can get people dancing and some can't. Some aren't good in court and some are. I'm good in court because I'm reasonable and rational. I want to be the good guy. I'm going to be the victim. I'm not trying to sue anybody for anything. I just want my money that I'm due. But by giving them that option, it also gives you this leverage. You can say to the client, you can make whatever changes that you want. You can say, okay, listen, in fact, the one I was talking about where I went to court where it wasn't signed, I gave them what I thought was an amazing deal. The contract amount was about $3,500. And what I said to them is, if you just give me the payment now, then instead of charging you the 75% of that, I'll charge you 75% of my very smallest package, right? Because I would have booked that very smallest package. I'll do that for you. And it was going to save him. I think the total he was going to owe me, he'd already paid, I think he'd paid $500, and what he was going to owe me was a total of $1,700. So it was only going to cost him another $1,200, something along that line. And he told me to go pound sand. So we went to court and I collected the entire $3,500, not just the 75%, but the 100%. And in court on the appeal, he said, well, he offered me the settlement. It's yeah, I did. It was a settlement to do something at a specific time. You chose not to, and he lost. So give your client incentive. I'm going way over my minute. Give your client some incentive to tell you as soon as possible. Let them know that you want to work with them, and that the sooner they let you know, the more you can do. And it gives you some options. For example, let me just throw out some crazy numbers here. Let's say you had a $3,000 event that canceled, right? And they were going to owe 75% of the total because they canceled it too late. Right? So what they were going to owe is 3/4 of $3,000, which is $2,250. They've already paid you $500, so now they owe $1,750. That's where they're at if you don't book a comparable event. Now, a comparable event, so something comes along and you have a chance to book it, but it's, last minute bookings tend to be cheap ones. It's only, 3 or 4 weeks away, and they're not going to book you for $3,000. But it gives you an option now to say to that client, well, listen, here's where I'm at. I had a cancellation that date. I'd rather work than not. The other client is already on the hook for part of it. So we can split this up and sort of mitigate the damages for everybody. The new client, instead of paying $3,000, which is what it's worth, so tell you what, you pay me $1,500. I'm throwing numbers out. You can do what you want with these numbers. You pay me $1,500 instead of $3,000. Now I have that $1,500. I have the $500 already from the first client, so I have a total of $2,000 for that day, right? This other client who was going to owe me another $1,750, I go, okay, look, what I really need to get is my $3,000. Give me $1,000. Instead of $1,750, they save $750. You still work. You still get to be in front of people. You have options if you structure your contract there, and it doesn't need to be complicated. I know a lot of DJs will do 3 parts, a third when you book, a third when they do the first planning meeting, a third when you do the final planning meeting. That's a good plan. There's lots of ways to structure this, but make sure that you structure it in a way that when your clients, if they have to cancel, it minimizes their pain and it minimizes your pain and everybody wins. I hope that helps you. I know cancellations are a tough thing, but thanks for sticking with me a little over today for the went a minute and an extra like 600 seconds.